here we go. Yes, I am in pajamas. Yes, I'm in my rocking chair with my books. I figured it's a good time as ever to read a story. Okay, so I hope that you're going to enjoy this one. I am from Duluth, Minnesota. So Minnesota will always be my home state. Okay, and if you look on a map, anywhere in the world, you can look on the globe, you can look on a map, you will be able to find my hometown. If you look at Lake Superior, it almost looks like a wolf, right? And on the tip of the wolf's nose, because it kind of opens like it has its mouth, and there's that really pointy first part, the arrowhead, and then it kind of juts in. I'm right there on the tip of the nose. And actually, I still am. I just across in Wisconsin now. I live in Superior, okay? So, with that said, of course, I've got to read a holiday book about Minnesota. I have to have my glasses on to do this because it is the end of the night when I'm recording this, I guess. And my eyes were tired, so I took my contacts out. And now we're going to read with my glasses, okay? But this book is called Santa is Coming to Minnesota. And it is written by Steve Smallman, illustrated by Robert Dunn and Jim Mitchell. So it looks like they teamed up. And just looking on the cover, I can see there's what looks like Old Central, which is in my hometown. It's kind of, I had a friend one time who came to visit me, and we're driving around, and they said, I didn't know you had Hogwarts in your hometown, because it does kind of look like Hogwarts Castle. And it looks like this might be the Science Museum in St. Paul. There's the lift bridge. This looks like the Split Rock Lighthouse, which is only about an hour away from my hometown. So lots of cool stuff. And you have Paul Bunyan and Babe the Blue Ox, which I should find their legend, and I should read that this winter. That's a good one. But here we go. Santa is Coming to Minnesota. Well, boomed Santa, have the children from Minnesota been good this year? Mostly, answered the little old elf as he bustled across the busy workshop to Santa's desk. Santa peered down at the elf from behind the tall, teetering piles of letters that the children of Minnesota had sent him. Mostly? Santa asked, looking over the top of his glasses. Yes, but they've all been especially good these last few days. Oh, jolly good, chuckled Santa. Then we better get the presents loaded up. Even though the sack of presents was really, really big, and elves were really, really small, they seemed to have no trouble loading it onto Santa's sleigh. Though how they managed to fit such a big sack onto one little sleigh, even they didn't know. But somehow they did it. Splendid, boomed Santa. We're ready to go. Not quite, Santa, said the little old elf. One of our reindeer is missing. Oh, those troublesome reindeer. They never seem to stick around where they need to be. Missing? Which reindeer is missing? Asked Santa. The youngest one, Santa, said the elf. It's his first flight tonight. I've called him, but... Just then, a young reindeer strolled up, munching on a large carrot. Where have you been? Santa asked. But the youngest reindeer was crunching so loudly that it was no wonder he hadn't heard the little old elf calling. Oh, never mind, oh well, said Santa, giving the reindeer a little wink. He took out his Santa nav and tapped in the coordinates for Minnesota. This will guide us to Minnesota in no time. Crunch, 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 crunch. With a flick of the reins and a jerk of the harness, off they went racing through the sky. Ho, 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 laughed Santa. We'll soon have these presents delivered to the land of 10,000 lakes. Santa's sleigh flew through the starry night, heading south and across the Hudson Bay. On they flew in the wintry air over the boundary waters. In the wink of an eye, the sleigh was flying above the Iron Range and on to the Twin Cities. The youngest reindeer was very excited, and he had never been away from the North Pole at all. So look, there's the youngest, littlest one. They're only flying with 6 reindeer, though. There should be like 7 of them. They had just crossed over Breezy Point when suddenly they ran into a blizzard. Snowflakes whirled around the sleigh. They couldn't see a thing, and the youngest reindeer was getting a bit worried, but Santa didn't seem concerned. "In 2 miles," said the Santa Nav in a bossy lady's voice. "Keep left at the next star." But ma'am," Santa blustered, "I can't see any stars in all this snow." And soon they were hopelessly lost. Oh. Adults, don't you hate that when you're driving and your GPS tells you to go somewhere and you don't see what they're talking about? Oh boy. Then through the howling blizzard, the youngest reindeer heard a faint ringing sound. Ding dong. He looked over at the old reindeer with the red nose, but he had his head down. Red nose? I wonder what that could be. Ding dong, ding dong. There was that sound again, like church bells ringing. The youngest reindeer turned around to look at Santa, but Santa wasn't listening. He seemed to be arguing with the little box with buttons on it. With a flick of the harness and a jerk of the reins, the youngest reindeer gave a sharp tug and headed off towards the sound of the bells, pulling Santa and his sleigh behind him. Oh my goodness. "Whoa!" cried Santa, pulling his hat straight. "What's going on?" And then, to his surprise, he heard the ringing sound. "Well done, young reindeer," he shouted cheerfully. "It must be the bells of St. Paul's Cathedral. Don't worry, children. Santa is coming." Then suddenly, crunch! The sleigh hit something as it plummeted through the clouds of snow. "You have arrived," the Santa Nav said helpfully. Oh no, it almost looks like he hit a stop sign. Oh no. Finally, when the snow had died down and the clouds parted, Santa discovered exactly where they were, stuck right at the top of the Minnesota state capitol. Everybody pull! But the reindeer pulled with all their might until at last, with a screeching noise, the sleigh scraped clear of the dome. Santa steered them safely past the Minnesota History Center, above the Minnesota Children's Museum, over the Mississippi River, and down into Minnehaha Park. These are all places I have visited down in the cities. Luckily, there was no real damage done, but the packages had all been jumbled up. Santa quickly sorted out the presents in order again. "All right. Thanks to this young reindeer, I know where we are now. Don't worry, children. Santa is coming." Still, that little baby reindeer looks a little worried. Santa drove his sleigh expertly from rooftop to rooftop all over Minnesota, popping in and out of chimneys as fast as he could go, which was pretty fast for a chubby fellow. There were big chimneys in Bloomington and small chimneys in St. Cloud. He squeezed up and down thin chimneys in Minneapolis and plummeted down fat chimneys in Mankato. The youngest reindeer was amazed at how quick they went, and Santa never seemed to get tired at all, and it looked like the children in Minnesota were going to be very lucky this year. But the youngest reindeer was starting to feel a bit weary and quite hungry, too. Oh, baby. It's kind of hard to work when you're hungry, right? In house after house, Santa delved into his sack for packages of every shape and size. He piled them under Christmas trees and carefully filled up stockings with surprises. In house after house, the good children of Minnesota had left a large plate of cookies, a small glass of milk, and a big, crunchy carrot. Santa took a little bite out of each cookie, a tiny sip of milk, wiped his beard, and popped the carrots into the sack. From Winona to Rossum County, from Duluth to Moorhead, from Carver County to Rochester, and all the places in between, Santa and his sleigh visited every house in Minnesota. Santa delivered presents to Andrew, Allison, Anna, Arabella, Archie, Ashley, and the list went on and on. Zach, Zara, Zeb, Zoe, Zibble. Zibble. That must be a spelling mistake for sure. I actually really like that name. That's a cool name. Miss Manna. Hey, thank you. Finally, Santa had delivered the last present along his Minnesota list. Great moons and stars, sighed Santa. It's past midnight and my sack seems as heavy as ever. I hope I haven't forgotten anyone. Santa opened his sack to check, but it was full of juicy, crunchy carrots. Santa divided the carrots among all the reindeer. Well done, he said, patting the youngest reindeer gently on the nose. But the youngest reindeer didn't hear him. He was so busy munching. And when it was time to set off for home, Santa reset his Santa nav for the North Pole. And soon they were speeding over Stone Arch Bridge, across Minneapolis and St. Paul, and over the lakes through the crispy, starry night. Oh, 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 laughed Santa. Merry Christmas, Minnesota. So that was Santa Claus is Coming to Minnesota. I hope you enjoyed. I am so excited we got to read this book. I love reading books that mention my hometown of Duluth, mention places I've been, because I know everybody says this about their home states, but Minnesota is a pretty cool home state. So with that, I will see you next time.